Diner Life starts off with Eiichi reading an exciting magazine entitled B-Grade Gourmet's Food Tour Listings magazine, when Leo suddenly enters the student council room. Leo proceeds to make fun of Eiichi for reading that, asking, "What kind of book is that?" He asks this rhetorically, obviously, because he immediately says that he'll figure it out for himself, even though he just saw the title of the book, and now intends to take a trip into his delusions. Before he can get a chance to do so, Eiichi ruins his fun by telling him that he has been asked to help a company his family has ties to, and is now doing some research. He then asks Leo what he's doing in the student council room, and Leo doesn't even know why he's there. He then remembers and turns in a proposal for a live show as the leader of Knights, calling Eiichi a blockhead as he does so. Eiichi offers to look over the proposal, and Leo says that he's actually quite a nice guy. Eiichi notes his quick change in attitude before kindly informing Leo that composing music is forbidden in the student council room. Leo considers throwing a temper tantrum, but reminds himself that he'll be told off by Kato, so he instead demands that Eiichi gives him his book instead, which he does. Leo starts to read the book, and his inspiration starts welling up as he does so. However, he quickly realises that something else is welling up too. His hunger. He then accuses Eiichi of trying to make him hungry, and Eiichi tells him to stop getting angry over a magazine he chose to read himself. He then asks Leo if he knows anything about B-grade gourmet food. Leo says he doesn't, but he eats it all the time and he likes it. Eiichi says that this topic is out of his scope, and Leo asks him about the thing he's researching about. Eiichi reveals that a restaurant chain acquainted to his family's business has asked him to hold an event for its anniversary celebration. He initially wanted to refuse the request, but capitalism said otherwise, with his family planning on building one of their restaurants in an amusement park they own. He says that he was researching food in order to get an idea of what the restaurant is actually about. Leo recognises the restaurant, or more specifically, a diner, and happily exclaims that he goes there all the time with his sister. Eiichi says that he doesn't really know what to do, despite the diner mainly targeting younger people. He's kind of being forced into performing because he has to save face for the Tenshoen family. Leo asks why he can't just send Fine, but Eiichi says that Fine is too elegant and doesn't fit the vibe. Eiichi tells Leo that he's planning on creating a temporary unit, like they did with Night Killers. Suddenly, Leo comes up with a great idea. Let's bring Night Killers back! In the studio, Nazuna is sorting through Rabbit's outfits. He comes across a black outfit, trying to recall when Rabbit ever wore a black outfit like this one. He then remembers that it's his Night Killer's outfit, and marvels at Kuro's skills as he studies all the fine details in the outfit. Kuro then appears, startling Nazuna. Nazuna tries to tell him off, but Kuro doesn't understand a thing he's saying. He breaks the fourth wall a little by asking Nazuna why he's talking to himself, which is something I never see being talked about in anime actually. Nazuna then gets embarrassed. Kuro only adds to this by saying that he wasn't the only one who heard, and that Anzu was there as well, but she couldn't be seen because she was standing behind him. Nazuna asks the two of them what they're doing, and Kuro says that Anzu wanted to practice making more Western-style outfits, and that they came to the studio to look for inspiration. Kuro notices the outfit Nazuna is holding, also recalling that it is the Night Killer's outfit. The two of them recall that they had fun in a unit full of third years, and that it gave them a break from acting as role models for the younger members of their units. Anzu then goes to study the outfits, and Nazuna leaves the studio. Nazuna then goes to his classroom and meets Izumi, who complains that he's been looking everywhere for him. Nazuna says that Izumi is always so high-handed, effectively calling him arrogant. Izumi asks if he had put in the purchase request for tennis club equipment. Nazuna apologises and says he forgot. Izumi tells him off, and Nazuna says that he'll go to the student council room later. Eiichi and Leo appear out of nowhere. Eiichi takes the purchase request, and Izumi asks Leo why he's with Eiichi. Leo ignores him and tells Nazuna that they're reuniting Night Killers. Izumi tells him to stop being erratic, and then Leo calls for Izumi to be exercised. Nazuna then calls for everyone to calm down and asks Leo what he means. Leo then says something about not understanding the bourgeoisie, but he wants to repay his debt to Eiichi and reunite Night Killers. Nazuna is still confused, so Eiichi chimes in and properly explains the situation to him. Nazuna says that he's not really sure about this, but Eiichi bribes him and Kuro with meal vouchers for the diner, so Nazuna accepts. Leo excitedly hugs Nazuna, who then complains that he can't breathe. Izumi also complains, but for a different reason. He's complaining because he doesn't approve of the Night Killers reunion. Leo compares him to a shrimp and then runs away because Izumi gets mad again, leaving the others to convince Kuro for him. He escapes through a window, quickly scurrying down the tree as the other three watch in bewilderment. Izumi then runs after him, and I'm assuming that he ran through a door instead. Eiichi and Nazuna then go to find Kuro. Meanwhile, Wataru reunites with his dove Jeanne d'Arc in the garden terrace, who he has sent to do some espionage on his behalf. Jeanne d'Arc flaps her wings excitedly, and Wataru interprets that into meaning that Eiichi is going to be doing something fun by himself, meaning that he's going to do something fun without Wataru. Wataru won't let this happen. The next morning, Eiichi notices that there is something in his shoe locker. It seems to be a letter, or maybe even a love letter. On the address side, the words "Written Challenge" are written in large handwriting. Eiichi theorises that there is only one person who would do something like this in the modern day. This theory is useless anyway because he immediately recognises the handwriting as being Wataru's. Wataru is then summoned and does his usual "It's your Hibiki Wataru" greeting. He asks if Eiichi called for him. Eiichi says he didn't, but says that he expected him to approach him about this matter. Wataru is happy that Eiichi managed to figure out it was him, and Eiichi says that it was kind of obvious. Eiichi then asks him about the written challenge. Wataru confronts him about him and Leo reuniting Night Killers and proceeds to fake cry, calling Eiichi cruel for excluding him from something so fun. Eiichi says that he didn't mean to exclude him and considers making the live a Night Killers featuring Wataru live. Wataru then says that he's thought of something more interesting instead, announcing that he's going to establish a temporary unit to challenge Night Killers to a match, therefore making the event a live showdown. Eiichi asks Wataru who the members of his new unit will be. Wataru says he's just planning on finding them now, since he's only just come up with the idea. Eiichi says that not many people will want to go along with such a half-assed plan, but Wataru insists that he'll be fine, announcing that he'll show Eiichi the other members after school. Eiichi is excited and says he's looking forward to it. Later on, Izumi goes behind the school building, complaining that he's being led there by a letter. He notices that Madara and Kaito are also there. Kaito asks Izumi if he has also been called by the letter. Madara reads out the letter he received to the other two. Dear Mikajima-senpai, I have something important to tell you today after school, so please meet me behind the school building. From your kohai, Hibiki Wataru. P.S. Please get your hopes up. It'll be a love confession. Izumi says that that's what his letter says as well, and asks if Wataru is picking a fight. Kaito says that they'll just have to wait for him to arrive. Suddenly, a feminine voice comes from behind the corner. Senpais, I'm sorry for letting you wait. It's the female high school student, everyone's cute kohai, Hibiki Wataru. The girl's voice is very convincing. However, Wataru's hair can be seen from behind the corner, so everyone knows it's him. Kaito, with the remarkable patience of Abby Lee Miller, tells Wataru to stop with his bullshit and to stop his vocal mimicry. Madara has a different attitude and is amazed by how good Wataru's vocal mimicry is. Wataru then emerges from the corner, thanking Madara for his compliment. Izumi then asks him to explain the letters, or else he'll really get angry, a threat no one takes seriously because he's already said it like 3 times already in this story. Wataru tells him not to get angry because he has no ill intent, saying that he just wanted to show his love to them. Izumi won't stand for this, and asks Wataru if he's just pranking them. Kaito says that he's now sick to his stomach and asks Wataru what he wants. Wataru then calls Kaito impatient and asks the 3 of them to form a temporary unit with him to go up against Night Killers. He tells them that Night Killers is reuniting for an event. He says that it's fine that Eiichi is sending Night Killers instead of Fine, but not being involved is boring, so he challenged Night Killers. He then starts shadowboxing. Kaito tries to tell him to stop, but gives up, and instead asks if Eiichi will be okay to do the event, given his health. Wataru says that he'll probably be fine, but being in this temporary unit will give Kaito the opportunity to monitor Eiichi up close. Wataru then turns to Izumi, asking him if he wants to get the better of Leo after what he did yesterday. He then turns to Madara and just says that he's a one-man unit, so he'll be easy to ask. Izumi and Madara agree to the temporary unit. Wataru then starts to mimic the noise alpacas make, asking Izumi if Leo will make that noise. Kaito tells him to stop. He says that he's annoyed that he always has to go along with Wataru's schemes, but agrees to the temporary unit anyway. Wataru then asks Kaito and Izumi to step here for a moment. What here isn't known to the other two, but they do it anyway. Eiichi is now back in the student council room with Anzu and pours her some tea that Hajime brewed. He asks her to help with the event and she immediately accepts. The other members of Night Killers then walk in, with Nazuna grabbing Leo by the scruff of his neck so he doesn't run off. Leo starts kicking and Kuro tells him to stop. Eiichi then tells him that Anzu will be making the outfits for the event and also informs him of Wataru's challenge. Now that Kuro and Nazuna have let their guard down, Leo begins to scribble all over the furniture. Nazuna tells Kuro to grab him, which he does, apprehending Leo. Nazuna then asks Eiichi about Wataru's temporary unit. Suddenly, Wataru appears, having been summoned yet again. Eiichi asks him if he has the other members of his temporary unit. Wataru does indeed have the other members, and calls forth his reliable helper, Madara Mikajima. Madara says that he's only helping because Wataru asked him to. He then asks why Kuro is pinning Leo's arms behind his back. Leo calls out to him for help, but Kuro tells Madara about Leo scribbling all over the furniture, so Madara takes Kuro's side instead. Noticing that they're starting to get off track, Eiichi asks Wataru if Madara is his only member. Wataru says he isn't, and brings everyone's attention to a large box. Eiichi says that the box looks familiar, and asks if Tori is in there. Wataru excitedly says that it isn't Tori, revealing Izumi and Kaito, who are stuffed inside the box. Obviously, Izumi and Kaito are extremely pissed off, but Wataru ignores them and announces the name of their unit, Troy Mirai. Wataru recounts how he got to this point, and Eiichi laughs, finding Kaito's face when he came out of the box to be absolutely hilarious. Kaito tells him not to laugh. Wataru says that he originally only intended to lock Kaito inside the box, but thought that locking Izumi in there would be interesting, so he locked him in there as well. Izumi is extremely annoyed, and Leo only adds to this by being excited at the prospect of fighting Izumi. Kuro says that it will be hard to fight against Kaito, and Kaito laments that he has been taken advantage of yet again because of his sense of responsibility. Madara offers to be Kuro's opponent instead, saying that Kuro can get revenge on him for what he did last summer. I don't know what he's on about here. If you guys know, please feel free to tell me in the comments. Nazuna is more concerned with Anzu, who has already come up with ideas for the outfits. He says that even though there's a variety of personalities in the room, they all seem to be getting along quite well, and that's a good fit for the diner. Eiichi asks Wataru about the name of his unit, saying that it means dream. Wataru says that the unit is like a dream that will only last a single day, so the name is fitting. He goes on to say something about how night killers means those who hunt the night, but intentionally uses the opposite of day version of night, rather than the soldier version, and that a name like those who show you a dream would therefore be fitting for his unit. He says that they'll put everyone into a world of dreams, but Eiichi says that he sounds like the homicidal maniac Freddy Krueger. Wataru doesn't deny this. He also claims that the name references a Trojan horse. Eiichi likes Wataru's pun, and Kuro says that the name Night Killers was also Eiichi's idea. Eiichi tells Kuro not to expose him. Night Killers are now in the soundproof practice room, not the regular one, and are practicing in the practice room because practice rooms are for practice. Eiichi stops everyone in order to re-choreograph a part of their dance. Leo says that this is boring and that they should set off fireworks instead. Nazuna says no, because setting off fireworks in the diner is dangerous and will get them banned. Eiichi doesn't look too good, and both Nazuna and Leo ask him if he's okay. He insists that he's fine. Leo then takes one for the team and demands a break because he's exhausted. Kuro and Anzu arrive and ask everyone if they could try on the costumes. Leo and Nazuna begin to sniff Anzu, whose scent is seemingly making their mouths water. Actually, the smell isn't Anzu, but the food she's holding. Kuro and Anzu actually went to the diner and got some food for everyone. Anzu gives one of the burgers to Eiichi, who says he's never had one before because he's technically not allowed to eat them. He thinks it's fine because there's vegetables in it, so he eats his very first burger, with some instructions from Leo. He then starts to analyse the taste of the burger as if he's a Michelin star chef, and Leo tells him to shut it and eat the burger. Anzu was staring at Eiichi, and he calls her out on this, but not in a bad way or anything. He just says that he's really happy, but isn't so sure that it's okay for him to be doing this. They then try on the new costumes and resume practice. Practice comes to an end. Anzu has brought everyone more snacks after going to give some to Tromurai. Kuro wonders how the other unit is doing, and Nazuna says that they all seem to be getting along now. Meanwhile, Leo hasn't realised that Anzu came back to give them snacks. He also doesn't remember that she helped out during judgment. Eiichi tells him to thank her when he sees her. Eiichi then thanks everyone for accommodating his health during practice, but also tells Leo to stop being so childish. Leo says that Shu told him that no matter how old he gets, he won't change, and Eiichi says that he'd hate hearing that from Shu. It is now night time, and Eiichi's chauffeur has seemingly forgotten to pick him up. He's in the student council room and the heating is off, causing him to start coughing. He wonders if Wataru's Troimurai has finished their preparations for tomorrow. Wataru is summoned for the third time in this story, telling Eiichi that he'll just have to wait and see. They then talk about practice. They are both happy that they can do something fun with their classmates. Eiichi has become annoyed, however, due to Kaito constantly checking up on and lecturing him. Wataru says that Kaito and Izumi kept getting angry at him during practice, but he found it funny. Eiichi asks Wataru not to tell him that this was all a dream. Wataru reassures him that this is reality, and that there's something interesting waiting for him tomorrow. Eiichi asks if he's scheming something, but Wataru enthusiastically denies this. Still, Eiichi comments that he feels as though he's being manipulated, and then the car arrives to pick him up. It is now the day of the event, and night killers are at the diner, waiting for their performance to start. The diner is absolutely packed, which gets the four of them rather excited. The schedule is meant to be that night killers will perform first, and then they will pass the baton to Troimurai. The event soon starts, and Nazuna announces the rule of the event, supposedly being a typical live battle where the audience uses their pen lights to vote for a unit. Night Killers begins to perform, and Eiichi is pondering Wataru's words last night. He stops focusing on the performance and gets scolded by Leo. Eiichi brings his focus back to his performance, saying that he doesn't even know if Wataru was scheming anything at all, and that he's probably just overthinking it. Meanwhile, Troimurai arrive and watch Night Killer's performance. They are getting excited and are preparing a big surprise for everyone in the diner, including Night Killers. Night Killers finally finish their performance and pass the baton to Troimurai. Eiichi wishes Wataru luck for the performance, and Wataru goes, "Thanks, you too." He then grabs Eiichi's arm and drags him towards the stage. Izumi then takes Leo's hand and drags him with him, saying that he's satisfied with the expression Leo is making. Kaito and Madara called Nazuna and Kuro to the stage as well, and they do as they say. Kaito says that this is all part of Troimurai's act. Wataru then announces to the audience that instead of having a unit showdown, he wants to unite the two units together as one since they are all friends. A song starts playing, and it's the spare song Night Killers had practiced. And by using the power of friendship and love, Wataru manages to single-handedly hype up the audience, and the two units begin to sing and dance as one. The event comes to an end, and the owners throw a party for the units as a thank you. Eiichi steps outside to get some fresh air. Wataru follows him, and Eiichi invites him to sit next to him. They talk about the day, and Eiichi says that he's annoyed at himself for not catching on to Wataru's scheme, and also because there was no conclusion to the event since it was a draw. It turns out that Wataru switched the pen lights the audience used, telling them to use a rainbow pen light if they enjoyed the combined performances more, which is exactly what happened. Eiichi asks Wataru if he has become an idol in his eyes. Wataru doesn't say, but he says that he has ulterior motives instead, those motives being that he wanted to have fun with Eiichi on stage, not as a member of Fine or the Five Eccentrics, but as himself the individual. The event went as he wanted to, and he is very happy about it. Eiichi says that this is also a dream of his. However, it is now time for their dream to end and to return to reality. Eiichi encourages Wataru to take a step further into reality alongside him, and Wataru agrees, telling Eiichi that he was the one who taught him that reality is more beautiful than anything else. They then snuggle together. The end.